Trump says there is no time frame for possible action against Iran, and that kind of ambiguity is exactly what keeps energy and risk markets on edge. The pressure point is simple. Trump's no timeline Iran stance adds ambiguity to an already tense energy map. Trump critical stance is the search phrase, but the story becomes clearer once the mechanism underneath the headline is visible. That is why traders keep repricing the same headline through multiple markets at once. Trump's comments were framed as a deliberate refusal to set a timetable for potential military action against Iran, leaving allies, markets, and regional actors to interpret the message without detailed guidance. That matters because macro pricing starts before a confirmed shock. Markets revalue the probability of disruption long before disruption is visible. This sets the first macro anchor before momentum traders and policy watchers add their own reactions. That ambiguity arrives in a region where shipping lanes, proxy networks, and oil infrastructure are tightly linked, so even rhetoric can change how traders price energy supply and geopolitical risk. In easy English, a risk premium is the extra price traders pay because the future looks harder to estimate. At this stage, technicals and macro are reinforcing each other rather than pulling apart. For people typing Trump critical stance, the market signal matters because it feeds into broader dollar, liquidity, or risk conditions. The broader context is a Middle East already dealing with renewed concern around Iran's nuclear trajectory, proxy influence, and the security of Gulf shipping routes. That is the part that starts to spill into broader liquidity conditions. The mechanism is uncertainty pricing. Markets do not need a conflict to begin repricing. They only need enough ambiguity that supply chains, diplomatic timelines, or military responses become harder to estimate. For people searching KW, the immediate crypto link is through the dollar, energy, safe haven flows, and the broader appetite for risk. Once the mechanism is visible, the move stops looking random and starts looking systemic. For a crypto audience, this matters through macro channels. Higher energy risk can move oil, inflation expectations, safe haven flows, and dollar strength, all of which shape broader appetite for risk assets. When oil, currencies, and bond expectations start shifting together, crypto does not trade in a vacuum, no matter how strong one token narrative looks. This is why risk assets often feel the change even when they are not the market named in the headline. What remains unclear is whether the ambiguity is mainly rhetorical leverage or a sign that real escalation pathways are being kept deliberately open behind the scenes. The next signals are diplomatic developments, any shift in shipping or energy insurance costs, and whether oil starts moving on actual disruptions rather than headline anxiety alone. The unresolved piece matters because macro reversals often begin with an argument about durability. That leaves Trump critical stance tied to the next macro confirmation, because one session move never settles a bigger liquidity story by itself. In a market that keeps repricing conflict and de-escalation by the hour, macro does not sit beside crypto. It keeps shaping the ground crypto trades on. The next confirmation will come from follow-through across linked markets, not one isolated print.